We might be in for a long one today, kids. Hi! If this is your first time watching me, hello, my name is Lauren. I'm here all the time, and today we're going to talk about Shane Dawson. Everyone on the internet has seen the Shane Dawson Jake Paul series, and everyone's talking about it, and I thought I'd throw my hand in the ring and I'd talk about it again today, too. Again, I haven't done this before. Wow, I'm like already messing this up. So on Twitter and Instagram, I talked about how I wanted to do this video, but I wanted to wait until the series was completed because people know that he got a lot of backlash at the beginning, and while you did get more clicks, like getting mad at people before they have time to explain themselves. Sorry, the neighbor's cat just came outside. Cat! Look, there's another cat. Come here. Look at that cat. Do you see him? Go make friends. Look. I'm honestly such a great mom. Now that I've created a cat romance with the stray neighbor cat, let's get back to the topic. Like I said, well, you might get the clicks and you might get the views just shitting on people immediately. I wanted to wait. I wanted to see where this series went for giving my opinion on it, and that is today that we're doing that. A little bit about me. I don't talk about this a lot. It's posted like on my social media, but I don't talk about it a lot. But I do have a bachelor's in criminology. That is what I went to school for. I have done some psych. I'm not a huge psychology person, I'm not gonna lie. But I feel like a lot of people putting these videos out are just like spouting opinions, which, don't get me wrong, this is my opinion too. But my opinion has a little bit of background in this field. Also, this is Kat. Say hi! Also, this cat doesn't have a name yet, so if you have any good name ideas for this one, let me know, because she is still unnamed Spooky Bean. So, yeah, that's where I come from. Yes, this is all my opinion, but I've spent a lot of years and years and years and years and years and years and years, literally years and years, studying criminology and psychology and sociology and all of that stuff to do with it. Along with all that, I did do a tiny bit of research, not a ton of research, but I went onto like our student database and looked up some definitions, some studies, some things to come at you with, just so I feel like I knew what I was talking about. First thing that everyone's talked about, everyone's complained about, I'm just going to address it here because this is the thing that I immediately had a problem with, and that is the whole sociopath thing. Like I said, I have done a lot of, not even research, I've just been forced to listen to people talk about this for like 7 years for my degree. A lot of people touched on this when they're complaining about the series about psychopath versus sociopath. Is it even a thing? What's going on? What's the difference? Which one is he? And that's the first thing I want to talk about. Also, watching part 8, he just like doesn't ever address this again, which I think is a loose end that the whole series was based on that didn't really get tied up, which is annoying. They pretty much solved it with like, Jake Paul's fine, he's an okay person, it's fine. I've taken a lot of classes in psychology and criminology with professors who have worked with people in prisons and in shelters and in youth centers and all of that stuff, and almost every single class I take, I feel like the question comes up about a psychopath versus a sociopath and how that's a thing. Almost every class that I take, every semester, it comes up when we're talking about this and someone asks the professor the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath and how that affects kind of the whole thing. I'm not kidding. Every single class that I've taken, the professors, ooh, the neighbor cat is running now. Run, 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 run. Every single time this question is asked to these professors, which have literally decades and decades of experience and masters and doctorates in this stuff, they always say that sociopaths essentially aren't a thing. Which for me was so frustrating watching these first few episodes. Because one, okay, I'm just gonna lay out all my problems and then we'll go back to this. This is really scatterbrained, I'm sorry. One, I am personally so irked with the way that he presented the therapist here. And I said this online because people were kind of ripping into him about the way that he brought her forward and the information that she presented. And then even in his video, he says her name and then he just says therapist underneath. I didn't look into it because I don't care, but if you know people who study psychology, if you study psychology, if you've looked into the qualifications for jobs, a therapist is not the same thing as a psychologist or a psychiatrist. You don't need a doctorate, you don't need a master's to be a therapist necessarily. So for me, I was annoyed when he was calling her a therapist and was essentially saying that she was able to diagnose this individual, Jake Paul, with something like sociopathy, which isn't a medical diagnosis. That didn't make any sense to me. And then someone on Twitter, because I said this on Twitter, someone was like, oh, she actually has her master's from this university, she is a psychologist. And I was like, cool, great, that's awesome. Why the hell did he call her a therapist then? This is just me maybe being like irked because I feel like he's belittling her a little bit, even if he didn't mean to. I feel like you should call someone by the title if they did additional 2 to 4 years of school. Give them that title. The second thing that bugged me was even in the series, she admits about her specialty and what she helps people with focuses in eating disorders. And while I know you go to school and you learn a very broad amount of things, if you've been studying and working in that specific field after graduation, you focus on this, you don't really remember all of this. Even me, I have taken so many courses in so many everything. Even now, if someone asked me something that was like a pretty basic information from one of my first 2 years of studies about, I don't know, like, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Like skeletal anatomy. If someone asked me a question about a skull that I learned in an intro forensics class, I don't remember that because what I've been doing for the past 2 to 3 years is legal studies. That's what I've been doing. So for me, it's frustrating that he found someone that he knew that had a social media presence, that he knew people would watch because of their presence, that wasn't necessarily the most qualified individual for this situation, and just kind of squished them into the box he wanted them to fit into. I think if he really wanted to go with this angle, which he didn't even end up going with at the end, which is a whole different irritating subject, he probably could have found someone out there who was willing to come forward and be like, this is my name, I work with, criminal youth, I work with young offenders, I work in the criminal system, like working with individuals who have antisocial personality disorder, I work with people who have been diagnosed with psychopathy, because psychopathy is a thing. You can diagnose someone with psychopathy. Once again, you cannot diagnose someone with sociopathy. It doesn't exist. It's literally not a thing. So that for me was annoying. I feel like he picked the wrong individual. I feel like he's stuck to this keyword of sociopathy, which doesn't really exist. Like, yes, it does, but there's no way to prove it. When you look at psychopathy, I've talked about this in a previous video, and I talked about how I had a professor that worked on the psychopathy checklist. The psychopathy checklist is a thing. It was created by academics. They use it when diagnosing people with psychopathy. So while psychopathy won't save you from a crime, psychopathy is still a mental disorder, and there is a checklist of 40 items, and you can go through and you can rate people on it. I've seen the psychopathy checklist, I've used the psychopathy checklist on cases, I see how it lays out and it makes sense. It goes through those things like, the narcissism, the lack of remorse, the lack of empathy. It goes through those things and you can diagnose someone with psychopathy. I think if Shane really wanted to do what I think he was trying to do, he could have found someone that's worked with the psychopathy checklist, and he could have taken someone and really got their opinion on it. They couldn't have done the full thing, because actually doing the psychopathy checklist is like a 4-hour interview in a room that's secluded, and obviously you need to tell people their rights. But I feel like he could have found someone who works in that realm and taken psychopathy, not this weird figment of our imagination of sociopathy, and made that a thing. Wow, I'm like already tired of listening to me talk, and I haven't even edited this yet. This is gonna be a long night, guys. Okay, that's my big issue. That was the main point of this video. I know it's an old topic because he talked about it in episode 2 and episode 3. He resolved it. But again, then he just didn't ever actually resolve it. Even in this last one, in part 8, Erica makes a joke about it and he's just like, everyone's fine. Whatever. And then the other things that bug me are little things. And people have talked about this before. People talk about how the series is biased. It's not a documentary. It's a kind of documentary. That's the nicest way to say it. But it's not a true documentary. There's no... I don't know how to say it without sounding terrible. Because there's research, but there's no research, if you know what I mean. I think it doesn't address a lot of things. And, I'm just throwing this out really quickly, why was part 8 filmed before part 7? I feel like the Alyssa Violet portion brought out so many things that contradicted with what Jake said in earlier portions, but then because of the timeline of his filming, he wasn't able to address any of that with Jake. So I feel like the finale part 1 with Alyssa, the finale part 2 with Jake are completely competing ideas that never get solved, which is also very frustrating. Other people have brought this last thing up, and again, it's that he paints Jake as a great person, and I think it's great that he like talks some sense into him. People keep saying like, oh, someone finally called him out on this, like Shane's doing a great job, he made him realize how bad it was, he talked to him about the whole Nerd City thing, the advertising thing, that's important. We're glad he did that. But at the end of the day, he didn't actually address a lot of other stuff, which is kind of frustrating. I saw this in a couple of videos, and this is a pretty recent controversy as far as I know, but there's literally screenshots of Jake like trying to get women to come visit him to essentially sleep with them, when now he's come out to 15 million people that him and Erica are in a relationship. And it's not just like random girls. He's like, the one that I'm thinking of, he reached out to a suicide girl, so she's essentially an adult model, and told her that he would get her a flight from the UK to America to hang out with them. That's not a thing you do just because you're friends with someone, and it's especially not a thing you do if you block them afterwards. I feel like that whole thing, they paint Jake out to be like confused and grew up in a wrong kind of environment, which is true. It can be totally true. I'm not saying it's not, but they paint him as that's his entire thing. His family did this to him, his situation did this to them, his brother did this to him. Erica came in and saved the day, and she's like this beautiful, perfect angel, and she seems like a sweet girl. I'm not saying she's not. I'm sure she's a very nice person, but after seeing what Alyssa said about how she didn't necessarily think it was abuse, but it was a very toxic situation. She felt like she was been cheating on constantly. She felt like she was lied to constantly. And then knowing all these other allegations against him regarding his situation with Erica come up, and then not talking about them, feels like what probably happened is Jake said, I don't want to talk about this because I don't want to get myself in more trouble. And Shane went, ooh, okay, if this means you'll do the rest of the series and I can continue to get 20 million views a video and make literally hundreds of thousands of dollars off this series, cool, I can ignore the cheating scandals. Just a thought. So those were just kind of some thoughts that I've been having. I could have made this video early because honestly he didn't really solve any of the things that I was worried about in the beginning, which is horrendously frustrating if we're being honest. If you feel the same way, feel free to let me know. And I'm throwing this out there. I love the series. I thought it was extremely entertaining, which is the point of it. I don't think it was necessarily meant to be educational. It was definitely just clickbaity and entertaining. That's how YouTube works. I am a fan of Shane. I went through my old videos last night of curiosity, and I literally found a video of me wearing Shane Dawson merch from 2012. So if y'all come at me saying I hate Shane, I'll have to point you to a very, very embarrassing video of me when I was in high school wearing no pants and a Shane Dawson t-shirt. Wow, underage me was truly, truly wild. That's it for today. Like I said, if you've never been here before, hi, my name's Lauren, Lo, whatever you call me. I'm here all the time. I've made a video so far almost every single day in October. I have a playlist for that. I'll link that to y'all. Also, all of my links to everything else are down below. If you want to hear me complain, I do it way more on Twitter and Instagram than I do here, so that's the right place to hit me up. And besides that, I will see you guys, if you choose to come back and hang out with me again, tomorrow. Bye.